Hello, Josun. So I do another video about introducing Miriam, as the title says. God speaks to women today, which I won't read today, but there's two Bible passages I want to read today, and then we read the chapter on Miriam, and I might relate to Miriam, at least, because there's not that many areas of the Bible that mention her. But let's do a quick review. Miriam is the older sister of Aaron and Moses, and these three siblings were raised by devout parents, and so they knew from young age who God is and how they all continue on with the faith. And so the first passage I'm going to read from Exodus chapter 2 verses 1 through 11, or no, I need to edit it 10 because 11 is kind of introducing Moses. So it's more like verses 1 to 10. And I didn't realize in the passage it was talking about Miriam, but someone connected dots for me. I mean, I know the story about a young girl helping save her brother, but let's read that and find out. So, from Exodus chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. Now, a man of the house of Levi married a Levite woman, parents of Miriam, basically, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son, the third-born child, the youngest son, Moses. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. And when she hid him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. Then he placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. At this point, I think Bible scholars or someone is guessing Miriam was about 7 years old. And so let's continue on. Then Pharaoh's daughter went to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the river bank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her slave girl to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, "Should I go and get one of these Hebrew women to nurse a baby for you?" "Yes, go," she answered. And the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She, the Pharaoh's daughter, named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." So, word of note. Ooh! Try to. Wow. I mean, let's see. Oh, here's more things about it. Exodus illustrates how selective the Bible's history is. The first chapter, for example, skips over the name of the Egyptian pharaohs, leaving a riddle for scholars to argue over since. Perhaps because the pharaoh and who he was not that important to the story. That's why I forgot who wrote the book of Exodus. Let's not answer that question because I don't know at this moment. I'm assuming it's one of the big greats. Okay, I myself don't know who was behind every book of the Bible, written, So that's not important right now. Right now is like, oh yeah, and then because Bible scholars are like kind of arguing who's the Egyptian pharaoh during this time. And yet identifies by name 2 Hebrew midwives. 1:15. Chapter 1:15. Let's go to that. Must be that part. The king of Egypt said to Hebrew midwives, whose names were Sifra and Puah. Isn't it wonderful that, like, the women names are sprinkled here and there throughout the whole Bible? If you really look closely, at times I didn't know there were women of it. You had to slow down and really think, or sometimes I had to look up other sources to help me understand, like, certain things, like the backstory or the history or who these people, because there's a lot of names, and it's amazing how, and we assume that every book of the Bible is written by a man, a human male, and you know how in history, it's all men-centric and stuff, but I guess these male writers were listening to God to make sure they put in some women folk, and because God does love you women out there, and He cares. It's just that sometimes you have to read between the lines to learn. But let's find out why these. Let me see what. After compressing 3.5 centuries into a few verses, Exodus devotes chapters 3 to 40 to the events of a single year. In contrast to Genesis' large cast of characters, Exodus focuses on one main character, Moses, because Moses plays a big part in Israelites' history, basically. And yeah. And so, but why the midwives? I read, if you go back to chapter 1, they've been told by the Pharaoh to kill, at this year for some reason, killing all newborn, baby boys who are born from Israelite women. Because, it was a tough time back then. Maybe you don't know. I'm not going to get into it because right now it's focusing on Miriam for a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to go to that next. That's the first time we get introduced to Miriam, actually. And now let's get to, where is it? Oh, there it is. Numbers, chapter 12. Okay. Now she's got a grown woman now by this time, and her brothers Moses and Aaron just started, well, not started, but they had a ministry together to lead their people. They left Egypt and they're out in the desert somewhere. And now this is interaction. Something happens. Here it is. Miriam and Aaron began to walk against Moses because of his Cushite wife, for he had married a Cushite. Has the Lord spoken only through Moses? They asked. Hasn't he always spoken about us? And the Lord heard this. Now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth. Well, at that time, Maybe there's other humble people nowadays, but I don't know. At once the Lord said to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, "Come out to the tent of meeting, all 3 of you." So the 3 of them came out. Then the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud. He stood at the entrance to the tent and summoned Aaron and Miriam. When both of them stepped forward, he said, "Listen to my words. When a prophet of the Lord is among you, I reveal myself to him in visions. I speak to him in dreams. But this is not true of my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak to face, clearly and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord. Why, when you are not afraid to speak against my... why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?" The anger of the Lord burned against them, and he left them. When the cloud lifted from above the tent, there stood Miriam, leprous, like snow. Aaron turned toward her and saw that she had leprosy, and he said to Moses, "Please, my Lord, do not hold against us the sin we have so foolishly committed. Do not let her be like a stillborn infant coming from its mother's womb, with its flesh half eaten away." Well, let's talk about the family jealousy. I'm just reading straight off what a Bible scholar had found out, explaining. Miriam, Moses' older sister, had helped save his life when he was a baby. Remember from Exodus chapter 2, verse 7? But she and her brother Aaron felt some sibling rivalry for their kid brother. Irked by his foreign wife, they began undercutting his leadership by asking whether he had a monopoly on God's will. Moses apparently did not defend himself, but God came to his defense with scathing words that made clear their special relationship. In Hebrews chapter 3, verses 1 through 6, refers to God's homage to Moses, showing that as close as Moses was to God, Jesus deserved even more honor. On your own, go ahead to find Hebrews chapter 3, verses 1 through 6 to learn what referred. Let's finish Numbers 12, verse 13. So Moses cried out to the Lord, "Oh God, please heal her." The Lord replied to Moses, "If her father had spit in her face, would she not have been in disgrace for 7 days? Confine her outside the camp for 7 days. After that she can be brought back." So Miriam was confined outside the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move on till she was brought back. After that, the people left Hazeroth and encamped in the desert of Paran. Yeah, well, if you read the Old Testament, there's a tradition to isolate people when there's some sickness, and when God heals people, they're to be isolated still, and then they come back to society. That's really part of a lot of Jewish laws back then. Has a lot. I don't understand all of them, but it kind of makes sense if you modern times. Like, if you're really ill with something, you don't want to spread it to other people. You are isolated until hopefully his treatment happened to give some healing, and then you can come back to the world again. Anyways, here's a section more about Miriam, jealous sister. Amongst life's most difficult tasks is enjoying the success of a brother or a sister who outdoes you. Certainly, Moses' sister Miriam found it difficult. Well, don't worry, she matures, but it's normal, if if you were an older sibling, especially if you're firstborn, and you have a younger sibling who outshines you with a lot of achievements and stuff, how will you feel? If you're not secure in yourself, okay, then you will have jealousy and stuff. But if you're secure in yourself and really happy for your younger brother and sister, then good for you, because you reach a maturity that a lot of people have not yet. Anyways, okay. At Moses' birth, she was the hero, watching over her baby brother and cleverly jumping in to outwit Pharaoh's daughter. She took the spotlight again when the Israelites crossed the Red Sea, leading the women in a wild song of triumph. Check it out in Exodus chapter 15, verses 20. As a prophetess, she played an important leadership role along Moses, who carried the chief responsibilities. Then jealousy crept in Miriam, and her brother Aaron, another strong leader, began to grumble. They objected to Moses' wife, a foreigner, and they felt they ought to have equal spiritual status with Moses. Has the Lord spoken only through Moses, they asked? Hasn't he also spoken through us? Remember from chapter 12, verse 2? In essence, God responded with a fierce, "How dare you! He singled out Miriam, apparently the leader of the two, for punishment. He would not tolerate jealousy among the leaders of his people, especially jealousy aimed at the humble man whom he has chosen. There's a life lesson there. Don't go after humble people because if God chose that person, he would defend that person. Oh, okay. Anyway, so here's life questions. And also, before I go to life questions, I'm thinking, there are people actually waited for Miriam to be healed before they move on. I think there are people who have deep respect toward Miriam. She was one of the leaders. A female leader. It's like unheard of, Anyways, here's life questions. What makes you jealous? Jealous? How do you best handle those feelings? It's normal to feel jealous, especially if you're not secure in yourself. But is jealousy really going to help you to improve your relationship with other people, especially the ones you call your loved ones? Like, is there jealousy in the room within a good friendship or a close relationship with a family member? Should we find a way to process jealousy in our lives? So, I don't know. Do you think you can still have a close relationship with someone while still being jealous of that other person? In my own personal opinion, jealousy seems to me, in my observation, but also from personal experience, it makes me unsettled. It makes me feel not secure in my relationship with, my loved ones, So I learned to if I feel jealous, I learned to give it to God and also process in human ways, to get through it, to unpack these jealousies and find ways to process it out in a way so I can get back and actually truly be happy for my family and friends. If they have happy news, I'm so there to be happy. I'm like, yeah, hallelujah. Imagine me. Maybe I have a trombone, dancing like Miriam, woo! Good for you. I'm so excited for your good news. That kind of thing. I'd rather have that in with people. I hope other people feel the same way with me, If they hear good news about me that I have, they're that happy too, Truly happy and not, I will acknowledge if you feel jealous, at one time or other about me, I just hope you take care of that, and because I care about you, I just can't stand jealousy in the middle of our relationship. If I have a good relationship with you, I cannot stand having jealousy, okay? Just let you know. Anyway, so yeah, I hope you enjoy this, learning a bit more about Miriam. Some of you probably know, and others knew about it. So next time, maybe later, or I don't know when, I will read the chapter on Miriam from God Speaks to Women Today by Eugenie Price, which today she wrote back in 1964. Or it was printed back in 1964. It was for the 20th century woman. But I think a lot of those stories of the women folk she, written is also for the 21st century woman too. So I'm just letting you know. Anyways, but again, before you go into something, use a discernment to make sure what you need to learn. I just was excited to share about Miriam because it doesn't say she was married or not, so we'll see. Let's find out more about her until next time. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you. Peace out.